We want to know who's Navaid.
Oh, okay. So, how far do I go back? Do I go back to my first job, or do I? I mean, that's like, what? I have to think how many years I've been working now. I think 28 years now. So,
So you are
uh,
28.
yeah, I'm 20. I'm 28. My first job was in British Telecom at BT Labs, Martlesham Heath, and it's in a town called Ipswich on the east side. And I was doing the title was called design consultant. People used to call me DC Sahib. DC Sahib.
This.
Yeah, DC Sahib. Bhavesh will
Yes,
understand
I
that.
know.
DC Sahib.
Even me, I
Yeah.
know.
And I'm like, yo, I'm a Sahib, check this out, and it was called design consultant, but it was an OSS role, operational support systems. And back then, it was about, basically we had launched, it was early days around, internet hosting, websites, and things like that. So British Telecom had lots of data centers, and this was a service that they'd created. But it was the whole like, okay, how do we onboard customers? How do we like on manage their billing data? How do we modify, delete, and so on and so forth. So it was all processes. So after about doing 18 months of that, I'm like, I need to really understand networking, and that's when I got into networking, did my CCNA, did my Cisco checkpoint certification, got into that, started building data centers for British Telecom as a design authority, and then from there I went in 2000. This was with I moved into Ericsson, a telco that developed telco wireless infrastructure, various components inside of a wireless network. And I started to get into, security as well as in general, GSM, GPRS, 3G networks, and so on. From there, I shifted into signaling, which is pretty interesting. I mean, in the sense that when I say signaling, yeah, I'm pretty sure you will probably not be able to understand what that means. Signaling like it was like that for me too. But then I started to say, okay, hang on a second. Well, um, signaling is happening even in TCP, right? Transmission control protocol. There's various sort of protocols that actually have a data layer, have a control layer. But looking at that, how a call is set up, all the messaging that is happening at the wireless layer, then at the physical layer. And so it was really exciting because we were actually, building solutions that were tapping the network in across many data centers as well as at the edge of the network, and we were taking this signaling messaging to be able to construct if a user was having a good experience, meaning like, a user was going from one cell tower to another, the call would drop. Why would the
Oh,
call
wow.
drop? We would look at the signaling information. So, um, at the time, Agilent, which was a spin-off from HP, Hewlett Packard Test and Measurement. By the way, if anyone knows the story about Hewlett Packard, it was Hewlett and Packard, right? Hopefully everybody knows that. But back in 1939, they were in a garage and they started to build out things like network analyzers, oscilloscopes, and so on. That was the heart of the business. So, HP Test and Measurement was very successful. Obviously, they went into printing and other places like life sciences and so on. But one of the business was these probes that would be deployed and would tap. Just like I think Bhavesh, you know what a gigamon looks like. A gigamon that taps into various sort of networking links, and then sort of does a mirrored copy of that data,
Yes.
right? So we
Yes.
were doing that for the wireless networks, and then we were building what we called back in the day a business object OLAP cubes. This was like the infancy days of being able to do data analytics, to be able to see why are these calls dropping on which handsets, in which regions, in which areas. And then from there, obviously, went into big data, Hadoop, crossed the pond to the US, worked for a startup that was building using Hadoop technology, big data, Hadoop technology to do network analytics, service assurance, network assurance, and so on. And finally, I've you know, over sort of various sort of different roles at AT&T, Hitachi, Koichi. Now I'm here at Elastic, and part of me feels like I've gone back to the days when I joined Elastic. I've gone back to the days of my days at Agilent, because that was signaling, probing, monitoring. That was self service assurance. Elastic does a lot of that. Elastic is doing observability. It could be observability of an e-commerce.
Indeed, yeah.
It could observability of an e-commerce website. Why are certain sort of transactions not going through? Which transactions are dropping? And looking at anomalies of like, in terms of failures of the infrastructure. So I'm like, now I get it. All those years of experience, uh, I can reuse some of that experience. And then obviously into security, I started doing security way back with my checkpoint certification. So yeah, it's going back into it, and then obviously these fields have evolved so much. Technologies have evolved. What software developers are using today in terms of the stack 20 years ago, it's completely different. Obviously, it's a night and day difference now. But obviously, Java is still there, obviously, which is huge. Python came along, and it's become, if you like, the most used technology. So here, Elastic. Um, Given my telco background and working with service providers, I guess it made a lot of sense coming here to Elastic, building and that ecosystem of MSPs, MSSPs, and understanding that what it takes. It takes two to tango and build an ecosystem. Partners need good technology. Partners need to be able to be enabled. Partners are managing thousands of customers, so they're like your extended sales team,
I
right?
agree, but here
You
you are
know,
talking about
e-
partners, but this call is
exactly.
about you.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah. So and I see like I can now look
So
back.
let
Yep.
me
Go
ask you a
ahead.
question.
Mhm.
So what was your major in school? What did you graduated like which
I mean,
school did you graduated from? What's your story basically? Let's
yeah.
start.
So
I want
yeah.
to know who's Navaid. Who's Navaid Khan?
No, that's
She
okay.
she wants to dig when you were like 5 or 12.
No, because
uh,
from there I want to understand how elastic or the tech comes, in the picture. Yeah, to understand the journey basically.
Yeah, sure. So my major was in business, European Business Administration. I did a dual the university degree from University of Wolverhampton and also Dutch HEO. HEO stands for Higher Economic Onderwijs, Onderwijs, so higher education diploma, equivalent to a bachelor's degree. So it was a joint program degree with a UK and Holland. And then after a couple of years, I did a postgrad in information technology management, and that's how I sort of fell into place with information technology. Information technology was a happening thing. Then obviously many of us joined that kind of gravy train to get our first jobs, and then I mean if you look at the IT industry, there's just so many different facets of it. But
Absolutely.
so yeah, that was my initial journey. And I moved on from one company to another, continuing to look to build skill sets. But yeah, from the very beginning, I was more on the like on the I was more akin to working with and building relationships, yet technical, but also like enjoying the part of building relationships, understanding each other's if you like unique selling perspectives, ICP and so on, and then looking at how you could combine two elements of two partners or two entities and basically creating 2 + 2 = 5, right? So that was really enjoyable. That's what I started to really enjoy in the role. So basically thinking about outside the box, you know, how can we create value by combining and joining forces with other partners or other entities? So that's really what I've enjoyed over the last, I would say 5 to 10 years. Prior to that, very much of a solution architect on the technical side, and you know, worked on many companies, did numerous sort of assignments in Europe, in Middle East. I mean, I've been to Minsk, Belarus.
Wow.
I've been to South Korea, Samsung, and so I've seen good part of the world, not Latin America, I think, and I think definitely would love to go to Japan and ANZ a bit more. But yeah, I mean, working has opened my eyes in terms of different cultures, different people, different thought processes, and so on. So I think if I look back at myself and my career, I think it's very much been about working and leveraging each other's skill sets and strengths and being a collaborator, I would say.
Amazing.
I see.
Mhm.
And it's been like more than a decade in Elastic for you, right?
Actually, no, it's been 2 years at Elastic, but
Hmm.
I would say about 13 years in the US and about 15 years working in the UK.
Hmm.
And then
I see.
UK covering the European Union, Middle East, those
EMEA,
regions.
as they like
EMEA,
to call it.
EMEA, exactly. Yes. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So yeah.
So can you tell a bit about your story with Elastic? Like, what drive you to the Elastic, or like how you got into Elastic as a company?
Yeah, so like I said, it reminded me a lot about what I had done, about 15, 20 years ago at Agilent in terms of the technology. Obviously, the technology is a lot more, it's transformed a lot in those years. But I came here on a mandate to be able to build our and then grow our MSSP business as a
And you
partnership.
are.
And we'll continue to do that. And the good thing is that, these are journeys, right? These things don't happen over, 6 months or 9 months and so on. They take a few years. And especially when you're building an ecosystem, whether it's with ISVs, OEMs, GSIs, MSPs, and so on. You get these things right if you have all the ingredients, the business and the technical together. You can't have either or. You can't have a technology that's, like Rolls-Royce, for argument's sake, but you have no ability to be able to build relationships and build programs that foster I think cooperation, collaboration, and also opportunities for both parties. So I think that it was exciting for me, as well as looking at generally where Elastic has been and where it's gone and where it is now. It's in a great place. Technology, the culture, distributed organization, but the
I
culture's
love that about Elastic, yes.
yeah. Yes, exactly. The culture is amazing. So those were the reasons, I guess, in summary. I felt like I had some good experience from before, and it was a great opportunity to build an ecosystem that was already present, but taking it to the next level. Bhavesh.
What would you say is the trends right now based on your experience at Elastic? What do you see as being like the trends for Elastic, based on the Gen AI and the chat, all the MLL going on and everything? Like what's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in a very transformative period right now. I mean, and I would say, obviously, everyone's talking about, Gen AI, and, there's new innovations happening on a daily basis. We saw what happened a few weeks ago with DeepSeek and so on.
Absolutely,
So,
yeah.
I mean, so it's like, it's almost like innovations happening at, I wouldn't call it light speed, but it feels that way, right? But I think with Elastic, it's amazing. You look at this company, 15 years old now,
Yeah, I
but
know.
I mean, every 8 to 10 weeks there's a new release. Innovation is coming, and it's coming at a and at a velocity and a speed that is so, I would say, that has been so sustained, right? These are things that are just have been really amazing to look from the outside, to look at how this has all been organized, how the organization, you have some engineers in Prague, some engineers in Sydney, some product managers in, I don't know, I mean, Amsterdam, and then some
There is.
in
There
Boston.
does.
So, I mean, there is something unique about Elastic's source code and how Elastic has been able to manage this feat. And about 2 years ago, as soon as the sort of bandwagon started sort of rolling around ChatGPT and OpenAI and so on and so forth, late 2022, Elastic was, very quick to see this opportunity in terms of what it meant for the possibilities of how this technology could be added into observability, into security, and also, how the end users that are using Elastic, be they MSPs, MSSPs, or even, large organizations with their security teams, um, having that foresight of being able to integrate this technology and then continually like refining it. So now we have, obviously, we've built capabilities, our own sort of ELSER, machine learning model, which is already inbuilt into the product, but lots of really, if you like, collaborations with all the big players out there, whether it's OpenAI, whether it's Azure, whether it's Copilot, whether it's LangChain, etc. So with Cohere and so on. So the pace of innovation is just truly amazing. And I think like they've stayed true to their DNA, being open source, and they have just incrementally kept on building functionality and capabilities. And I think that's what's so exciting being part of Elastic.
Yeah, I must say that Elastic isn't lagging in terms of
Mhm.
using these new LLM models or
Yeah.
utilizing AI ML trend. It's still continuing onto the journey of AI ML. So, how do you see as an solution architect in terms of Elastic leveraging all the AI ML for different use cases we have, which is like observability, security, and search? And which is your favorite one?
Oh,
Um,
that's a good question. Which one is your
yes. Yeah.
favorite? Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a bit tough, but look, I think I would look at it from a lens of the AI capabilities that we are building in, for example, our security solution. I mean, like the first one, well, the recent one that we launched, Attack Discovery, actually it was at last year at RSA. I mean, that's pretty phenomenal, right? You know, there is a alert fatigue going on with our folks in the SOC, the analysts, and so on. How can you basically you know, alleviate some of that alert fatigue and actually leverage LLM capabilities to be able to to be able to do, you know, the hundreds of thousands of alert messages down to like, okay, 10 or 15 actual, attack discovery um, events and so on. So that being able to leverage LLM for that, that is truly amazing. And why I love that is because that makes it easy that makes it so much more easier for my ecosystem, which is MSSPs, and makes it easier for those analysts that are using and leveraging Elastic. And of course, all the integrations being open, we've got lots of integrations with other technologies and other vendors and so on and so forth. So really bringing value up in the forefront by leveraging the capabilities and then going, you know, above and beyond, like, you know, being able to use LLM. I think in Black Hat we announced our being able to build integrations faster, leveraging LLM capabilities. So again, you know, a lot of these in when you look at Elastic and in generally in security in general, you know, you look at organizations have different technologies, and at times you have to integrate those technologies, those data sources inside a SIM solution. And a lot of times it takes a time to be able to build those integrations. And again, that is, I feel like, you know, a real big area of that the investment that's been made, which will help a lot of our MSSP partners, because now they'll be able to leverage this technology and continually, you know, build integrations faster. Therefore, faster time to value, because at the end of the day, as the data gets ingested, it'll get ingested faster. It
Mm.
will then, it will then be, you know, converted into insights, and then insights to actions, actions to remediations, remediations to basically resolutions.
I see. That totally makes sense. And specifically for Elastic Security, it's being like this strong player in the SIM or security world in terms of Elastic as a product as well. Uh, can you
Mhm.
give some lights on like what sets it apart from the other competitors we have?
There's many things that sets us apart, right?
Let's resume
Obviously,
it. Elastic is the best, and we're good to go.
well, that's it. Yep. You know, don't waste your time looking at
Yeah. Just
other legacy players. You know, other legacy players. You know, definitely give it Elastic a go, and you know, give it a ride for your money, and we guarantee you that it's just going to result as the best investment you've made. So yeah, we see that. I mean, look, $4 billion downloads, right? That's got to mean something,
wow,
right?
that's huge.
You know, we're true to our to our DNA, which is, you know, being open source and so on. So many organizations in the world use Elastic open source. But obviously, we built lots of capabilities on top of the open source, where, you know, you're able to buy, you know, the license features and so on and so forth. And we're making continuously we're making investments in the product.
Which
So
one, if I may, which one is your favorite use case for Elastic? Or like which company or which use case is like you love it or it's such a unique thing? For me, it was like, for example, Tinder. It's such a beautiful
which
Tinder,
one?
like the app, the matching app, matching interest, matching you with like the love of your life. I find it super funny and interesting and just it's unique. I would have never thought that Elastic was behind. But yeah, which one is your favorite? And same for Bhavesh, which one is your favorite?
So, I mean, it's it's amazing. Like, when you look at Elastic, nobody can, everyone has a little, okay, Elastic, what does Elastic do and so on. But when you look at how Elastic is being used, whether it's workplace search, whether it's e-commerce, from an SRE perspective, doing observability, whether it's security in terms of attack discovery. I mean, simple things make it come home. Like,
Yeah.
for example, Uber, like, at the end of, in the back end, Uber, has used Elastic, right? If you look at Home Depot, Home Depot uses Elastic in its e-commerce search. And similarly, obviously, you know, um, lots of MSSPs use Elastic as their SIM platform, and the the open nature of it, and the vast integrations, and the continual, sustained development of new features and functionalities is what really truly, I love about Elastic. And yeah, but those examples like I gave you, that actually truly brings home how the solution actually solves problems for, a whole, denomination of, if you like, clients and customers, and vertical industries.
Yep.
And for me, Verizon Media and Netflix are the two companies that I love working with.
Mm.
They are using Elasticsearch in the best way possible.
Mm.
And yeah, are different use cases. Like one is for logging monitoring and all, one is for streaming and collecting logging data and everything. So yeah, those were like my personal favorite clients.
And yeah, and then one more thing to add. When I joined, I saw some material, and then, I'm doing the onboarding process, and it made so much sense. It was like, well, Elastic. During my early, I mean, like I would say like 10, 15 years ago, when I was working in big data Hadoop, we were looking at network assurance. We were looking at service assurance problems from a telco perspective, handset analytics, and so on, right? I mean, there was a huge growth in these handsets from iPhone and, Android and so on. Telcos, you talked about Verizon. They were trying to understand, why is certain, certain handsets performing better on the same network, right? Why are certain handsets, dropping more calls, versus others? Is it the firmware? And so on. So, I mean, that was all obviously great analysis, but, getting the data from the network, then into a Hadoop platform, and then from there, doing MapReduce, and then, doing some additional, analytic algorithms, applying those algorithms, and then getting into a dashboard. Like, you're talking about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then 30 minutes, and then the data, being kind of refreshed. Elastic, near real time, right? It's all coming in, right? And then that is what I think is just truly unbelievable about the technology. And when it was mentioned to me, security, you look at, observability. What are these problems really? They're actually search problems. Elasticsearch AI, right? And that's what Elastic is all about. So I think that really came home to me. Like, oh yeah, I guess it really is a
The
search
search is
problem.
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So
We're
looking at it,
always we're always searching for something. We're always looking for something. So search is will always be there. And you can use Elastic in any type of use cases. Everything is possible. Everything is possible with Elasticsearch.
yeah, and then, back in my day at Hitachi, this is like about 8, 9 years ago. Yeah. I was working on Hitachi's content platform, right? That was an object store. And, it was like, well, object stores are the best types of platforms, compared to the S3 and the AWS, right? I mean, to be able to leverage, to be able to do search. And the main use case was search. And at that time, it was like, well, search, yeah, use cases. But yeah, now when at Elastic, it just, they've just taken that, simple concept of search, and then instrumented and built out a platform that can do so much more, and provide the insights, and, allows people to save time and take actions that make a difference. So I think that's where that's just truly amazing to see that whole vision come through.
I love it.
That definitely makes sense.
Mhm.
Also, can you shed some light on the latest features that Elastic is releasing? Because I can see 9 is in beta version, and there are a lot of new features that you guys will be rolling. So if you can shed some light on that, that would be great.
Sure. I mean, there, like I said, we're delivering features like in a speed train, right?
It's
There's so much.
extremely fast,
Yeah,
that's for
yeah, yeah.
sure.
It really is, and
I think it's
you
the
know,
company that releases the most like releases per year, right?
yeah. And one thing, what was really amazing was I came from the previous company where we were managing what I was also in the same capacity, but working with lots of MSPs, and product initially was great, technology was great. We were, innovating and so on. But towards the I like, my halfway sort of my tenure, we started to experience lots of problems, like with the code and the software, lots of bugs, wasn't being tested, wasn't being QA'd. Now you just look at this pace of innovation that Elastic is doing. And then, one of the things I noticed was I mean, it's just amazing. I don't have insomnia now because I'm actually sleeping well at night. My MSPs, yes, every client or customer from time to time is having for example, from time to time is having a 7-1, but not like those days where I was in my past employer, where it's like, oh my God, another escalation, another escalation, so I think like the sustained um development of new features, but at the same time developed in such a like way that you don't see that kind of huge tsunami of like escalations and things like that. That speaks volumes
Hmm.
about Elastic's engineering talent, Elastic's product management, and the entire engineering organization. Just goes to show that they're world class, right? I mean, there's lots of features. Honestly, I think the last couple of years we've doubled down on so many features around around Gen AI. It's hard to name all of them, but I mean, I think I've been super great. I've been super excited to see things around attack discovery, the or being able to build new integrations, and obviously some of the new things that are coming with auto ops. I think those are going to help. That capability is going to help our MSSPs a lot. So yeah, those are the ones that I would call out. But again, some of the things that we're doing or have been doing with OTel around observability. So we're giving back a lot of the capabilities that we build to open source. So these are things that I really like I'm really happy to see Elastic do.
Amazing. What would,
Nice.
yeah, if you have any question, Bhavesh, feel free. I was going to ask you, so you have been now for Elastic for almost 3 years, like soon, and you have, of course, like mainly covering the MSP part of the business. What will you say about it? Like how it's growing? How do you see like future MSPs joining the company and working with with Elastic? And also, it will be like, what's next? How do you see the future for Elastic?
Yeah, I think if you look at it from general trends perspective, what we see and hear from the analysts in the market, the analysts are all talking about cybersecurity, and there's a skills crunch, right? There's a skills shortage out there in the market, and skills shortage means that organizations are not able to recruit talent in cybersecurity, which means that then you know how do they fight the scourge of malware, ransomware, and cybersecurity in general? These are vectors that the organizations are facing on a daily basis, and they're fighting against these challenges. So what I'm seeing is that these inflection points, and then a lot of these organizations saying, okay, well, we need to be looking at basically um, partners like MSSPs that can actually help us. They have the expertise, they have the manpower, they have the skills and experience to be able to help us. So I'm seeing these numbers grow year on year and year on year. So I think that in itself is a huge testament to the MSP MSSP business for Elastic in terms of future growth. So there's lots of growth to be expected, and you can more or less get that as a guaranteed view from all the analysts across the board. So that's exciting. And obviously our continuous development of features and functionalities in the Elastic Security product itself, integration with Gen AI, this is all going to be all great and helpful for them. So these are things that I think are going to go a long way for our partners, And then again, think about, Elastic, from a from not only the technology, the features and so on. Think of it from a cost and value perspective as well. I think these are some of the if you start looking at some of those data points, you'll start to see that Elastic is basically in that sweet spot, helping in that sweet spot for new MSSPs and MSPs to be able to, double down in their investments in Elastic. So that's why I think it's an exciting time to be in Elastic and running and growing the MSP business.
I love it. What would you say that has changed on you since you joined Elastic?
Um,
Outside of having an
Change.
amazing mic for podcasts.
Okay. Okay, cool. So I think that just meeting new amazing people at Elastic, I think,
We met at
um,
Elastic.
sorry?
We met
Yeah.
through Elastic.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I'm truly amazed with the talent that we have in the company and the culture and the camaraderie, working together, helping each other, right? I mean, that is just truly amazing, and that in a remote environment. Remember, I'm not seeing someone for possibly potentially a whole year, right? It's a lot of Zoom calls,
Oh,
but
that's
I
true.
mean, but being able to still get the job done, in the best possible way, it's truly, great to see that, right? And then, I mean, the talent and then the capabilities and how Elastic does it all together is just truly amazing. Yes, yes, every organization will have things to improve on. That's obviously a given, right? But
Yeah, of course, it's anywhere. That's
mm,
normal. So
yeah.
now that we were talking about meeting, like the fact that it's like a remote company and we still like feel connected to so many people. Have you ever used or joined the donut channel?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. I
I
love
love it.
that.
Bhavesh is laughing because he had his donuts this week, and it was my favorite thing ever. I loved it so much.
Me
Yeah, I
too.
mean, I have met people in developer relations. I have met people in engineering functions as developers. I have met people in legal. I have met people in HR. Talent growth.
Yep.
Responsible for talent growth. I have met people from facilities management, and it's just amazing.
Yeah,
That I think that's almost like a great way, a very like it's a great way to be able to connect you with the wider company
absolutely.
in a completely random way and walk away learning so much more. So I think that's just truly
Jump
amazing.
on an online coffee and let's see.
Exactly, yeah.
You know,
Mhm,
the first time when I did this, when I joined the Donuts Coffee, it was with
mhm,
someone in Brazil, and he's in charge of support. So every time someone in my patch had a customer issue or a ticket or whatever, I had a friend now. I will go to him and it's like, hey, please, can you help this customer? And I loved it. I was like, yeah, I love donuts. I will do more of them. It helped me have friends all over the world. And a few months back, I was in Sweden. And the
mhm.
first thing I did is contact someone that I met through donuts. Like literally, when we had a call, I would have never thought in my life that we will meet one day in person in Sweden, in Stockholm.
Mhm.
And it did happen thanks to that call. Now, like, I have almost friends in every capital in the world.
Yeah, I know it's a whoever's made that tool, it's a pretty awesome
It's
tool.
so smart. Yeah, it's so
Yeah,
unique.
I mean it's like, um it's like how Slack is so important to organizations
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, I go back
I
10
cannot
years ago.
survive without Slack.
Isn't it amazing? Like, I mean, it's almost like that is donuts is like is equates culture, right? That application equates culture, and meeting colleagues from the company. So that's just an amazing tool that we have access to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, even I met a guy from Italy, and the crazy part is he also work on the observability domain, and I am myself an expert or to be expert in observability domain. So
Mm.
that's something that I made a great connection recently, like just within 2 months. And
Yeah,
he told me that if you see any problems in the tool or if you face directly reach out to me, I'll be able to answer. Or so that's a great connection I made recently.
100%. Completely agree with that. I've definitely had. And then sometimes these calls happen at times when I really need them. It's like,
Yes.
I was
Yes. You feel so low, tired of your week.
And like, not only that, but like, I've had some situations where I'm organizing a meeting, with a partner in a different location, and suddenly, I have a donor in there and request, and I'm talking to a facilities manager in Austin or whatever, right? And then like, there we go, everything's sorted. I've figured it out, right? And I'm like, where do I start? Where do I go? Which wiki page do I go to? And so on.
Oh
Donut
my
does it.
God, the wiki page. We have
Yeah,
to create something for this wiki page. It's not possible.
exactly. So yeah, it's a great tool. Great tool.
I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
So, do you have any questions, Bhavesh?
Yes, I do have a few
And also,
questions, and I
Navaid, if
have
you
a
have any questions, feel free to ask them. It's a conversation.
Yeah.
So, because we are
So,
bombarding you with questions like, hello, Navaid, give us every
and
information about yourself.
after what I paid you guys, you didn't give me the questions before. I mean, come on, what is going on here?
We
Like,
want it to be as natural and friendly as possible.
I was expecting like, the questions half an hour before at least, come on.
No,
But
no,
anyway,
no. It's honestly not prepared at all. And every
no,
time
no,
we
I'm
do
only,
a podcast, we want it to
yeah,
be just a friendly conversation.
yeah,
First for us, because we just love the fact that it's natural. The vibe is unique. You share like a really unique experience, and we will look at this video in few years from now, and it will only be good souvenirs. So it's the way we want to run this podcast series. Bhavesh is the host, and he's always the one in charge of everything. Right now, I'm taking the light away out.
I
But
know.
yeah,
thank you.
No, absolutely. And I wish I was a little bit more dressed
you
appropriately,
are
but anyway.
amazing, amazing,
So,
with your like a sky
uh,
background.
yeah,
I love it.
cool, cool. So, Bhavesh, you had some more questions.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
more
definitely.
structured
I
than
have
me,
like
just FYI.
so the one question I have is there any misconception about Elastic that you want to like to clear up?
Misconception. Hmm. Um, I have to think about that one. That's a good question. What have other people answered? I mean, I answered that as, but
So this
no,
is the
yeah,
question that
Misconception.
yeah,
came from
yeah,
my mind just like
yeah,
from
yeah,
no
yeah,
nowhere.
yeah. No, I think Elastic, its base is the developers, right? The developers is like the home base for
Yes.
Elastic, right? And
And
then
I think it
obviously,
should always
oh,
stay as
it
that.
always should be. It always should be. And it's the
It's not an
what
easy product. If you are not an engineer, it's really not an easy product. So yes, definitely it should be always focused only for
yeah.
engineers. They are the one that will be able to sell it, to see the value of it and how to use it. They are the
Yeah.
main target. Yeah.
But what I mean, like one thing was sort of pretty interesting. Like someone said to me, like, hey, Elastic on security is not on the Magic Gardener, MQ, Gartner Magic Quadrant and so on. And then, I thought about it. I talked internally and they said, we acquired a company in 2019, 2020, and that's how we got into, endpoint security. And then obviously we acquired a number of other companies that just prior to that. And so we're 4 years old. You look at some of these other players that have been in this market for 15, 20 years. So I think, people actually don't realize, the pace of innovation and the capabilities that Elastic has built so fast. And yeah, and obviously our base is with developers, but what I feel is that when you think of Elastic, Elastic is, yes, for search. And search is the essence for every sort of, potential business problem, right? But look how flexible Elastic is. Look how flexible it is to be able to, after, consolidating some of these acquisitions and so on. Now we've built a great security SIM solution. We built an observability product and so on. So I think branching out and growing and reaching the user bases and so on, and slowly but surely getting to, that, if you like, the the C levels and so on and so forth, people will start to think of, well, yeah, that means Elastic is that company that, is, if you like, that company that we want to have in our strategic, partner or strategic, vendors, right? So that's where I feel like, we've got some road to go to, and that is natural, going from where we are to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 billion. Like, Palo Alto is a household name. Ultimately, I think, Elastic has the capability to be able to reach the same levels as such organizations. So yeah, I mean, from a misconception perspective, obviously, you know, Elastic is more than meets the eye. So definitely look at, the the fullness and the capabilities of Elastic, not just search, but security, observability, and so on. And there's more work to be done there.
Definitely. And you put it very well because as a developer or as an Elastic engineer, we also have seen this. Few people just or few developers just see it as a logging monitoring tool. They don't see the flexibility this tool offers or this technology have. It it's doing wonders in search. It's doing wonders in security, apart from like observability logging and monitoring. So yeah, the flexibility, it's a lot flexible if you know how to use it is the misconception that I have been hearing from developers. But yeah, so I do have a rapid fire
Hmm.
round for you.
Okay.
If you want to take a moment,
Okay.
you can take. Then
Well,
I'm
let
gonna
me
bombard
let
you
me
with a
see.
lot
Do
of
you have your
questions.
coffee with you?
Okay.
Okay, so few you might have already answered, few could be repetitive, but I want to know your thoughts and perspective. Few are like on your personal overview, few are related to Elastic, but these questions will be just random out of nowhere.
Mhm.
So, like, what was the first programming language that you have learned?
Oh,
So that's interesting. So, I mean, I was not that smart and to do
don't say
programming. So I
that.
kind
You
of,
are
yeah,
smart.
yeah. No, I
You
did a
went
little
through
bit
the
of
British
a
education.
little,
You are very smart.
yeah. I did a little bit of Java and JavaScript and so on, but I wasn't really kind of enjoying that experience, and that's why I kind of fell into place where I wanted to work with people, so and then be in more customer facing role versus like a developer role. So right
You
after my
you
time at
choose the
British Tech,
best.
yeah, I mean since 2000 I've been working as a
Bharat is not
pre-sales
Bhavesh is disagree. No,
so yeah,
customer facing are the best.
yeah. So for me, it's like, I love the, solution architects as system engineer, pre-sales engineering,
Mm,
those types of roles, because I want to be able to hear about, challenges, you know, of customers that are having, because those are just amazing, stories that when they tell
yeah,
you, and then
absolutely.
how you bring something together, be creative, and then solve them. That's what I enjoy.
I love it.
Mhm.
Love it.
Mhm.
Also, Yasmin, yeah, I am not a customer facing person, so you can understand. But yeah, I'll learn that.
Ah, but
Uh,
honestly, when you have both skills like Navaid, it's really wonderful because the person can talk to both sides from the non-technical to the technical side. It's just wonderful. It's such a it's a unique skill to have.
right. Totally
Yeah, I
agree.
mean, and take it to the next level. About a year ago, I think, maybe 18 months ago, I was on some internal call, and we had an AE, Elastic AE, come and talk about, what he had built with Gen AI. He had actually built, an application, and
Oh wow.
I was like, wow, that's next level, right? Like an AE sales guy. So just imagine that: sales, pre-sales, engineering, and developer, all
Wow.
together. Imagine that. That is basically your alpha male or alpha whatever woman, right? Type of person that if those skill sets are all together, that's just truly amazing.
Okay.
That's
Now
wow.
now I'm curious. I want to know who did that. Do you have the name?
Yeah. I can't remember the name, but I was just so
Okay.
impressed with what they had done.
Wow.
They'd built out a specific application,
For?
using, Gen AI and, on Replit, I think it was, that framework. So it was pretty neat. I mean, and it's just amazing now. I think with the techno, it's just, I mean, like, yeah, if anyone's willing to do something and
They
play
can.
around, you almost now have got so much accessibility now, right? With the ecosystem that's out there with GenAI, people like LangChain, building, building a place for all sort of models, testing them, being able to And then you have like I don't know if you know, but I've seen places like Cursor, Crew AI, companies that just popping up from anywhere and everywhere. And it's just an exciting time to because at the end of the day, they're actually to me it feels like they're democratizing the technology is democratizing and empowering people to be able to build solutions.
Mm.
Right. So
I might try
that
to
took
build
me
my
to
app now.
Yeah.
yeah. With the current era of AI, you can easily build an app.
I want an app and maybe like an Alexa type thing that says how to become a good parent.
Oh boy. Please send me the code. I need it. I will need it one day.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
absolutely.
I'm sure you're a
Absolutely.
great parent, a great dad, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Okay.
then go ahead.
Oh
Sorry.
boy.
No, no, you just complete.
Yeah, I was just saying that with the challenges that we have to deal with social media and so on.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
God. I wish social media never existed. I mean, if people don't like me, that's fine. But I mean, in this day and age, it's become so difficult to because every child has access to it, whether it's YouTube or whether it's on an iPad and
Absolutely.
so on. It really is become so difficult and challenging for parents. But anyway, that's why I said if anyone who can build something that can provide support. Like we almost need, our little
Customer
like,
support with kids.
we need that super nanny type, Remember there was
Oh
a
boy,
program
yes, I remember
there was a
that.
program called Super Nanny. I think it was a British program where a British lady would come and she'd see a lot of parents in America and the US and so on. It used to be so funny and hilarious, but I kind of did watch that for sure.
We had that also in France. I remember it, yes.
Mhm. Cool.
It was like a scary lady. When she will come home, she will like put order in everything. But yeah, now with phones everywhere, I don't know how we can manage and control what kids have access to. So
It's
yeah.
tough, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mm.
it's
I
literally
don't have
it
any.
deserve, like it's something to have a conversation about.
Mm.
Yeah.
This is not something of my domain, but still, I would say that just give them Kindle. Uh, don't give them mobile smartphones and all.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I grew up like in an environment where I was not exposed a lot to TV or any screen in general. I had a lot of hours to be bored and to read, so
Yeah.
it was cool.
Totally, exactly. And so yeah, it's definitely a big challenge right now
Mm,
for for many parents.
I'm sure you will figure it out, Navid. And
Oh
then you will
yeah, oh
give
yeah.
and then you will give us the chip.
Yeah, I'm invested in a company that's building some stuff, and I'll tell you so you can, invest in
Ooh,
it, and then, I can benefit from it.
perfect. Let's do that. I love it.
Yeah.
Bhavesh, you had a question?
Yeah. So, what's your favorite tool outside of Elastic?
Favorite tool outside of Elastic.
WhatsApp.
Yeah, I think WhatsApp is great. But yeah, I think Slack is probably the, most
Yes,
productive tool for me.
I
Hmm,
agree. That's a
that
good one.
makes sense. Uh, if you were to describe Elasticsearch in one word, how you'll describe it?
Um, Outcomes, you
Hmm.
know, we basically, leverage this functionality, this capability, this platform to get to outcomes faster, outcomes that mean and deliver value.
Totally. That completely defines Elasticsearch. Most underrated feature of Elastic.
Most underrated. I'd have to think about this
Kibana.
one.
I feel Kibana does not get enough credit.
Hmm? Yeah,
It's such a great tool. So much flexibility. I don't
yeah,
like I'm obsessed with Kibana with everything we can do, and it's also the only one that I understand. So
yeah.
it's yeah.
Uh,
What do you
I,
think of
I
that?
I feel like so the hundreds of integrations that we've done, right? I think leveraging and people leveraging the integrations that are out there, and then also, um, you know, the recent LLM, powered capability that we did with, being able to build automate new integrations. I think that's a huge step in the right direction because a lot of time and investment and money is consumed by bringing new data sources on, understanding them, translating them from one platform to another. So I think, I want more and more of our user base to be able to use that functionality.
Yeah, plus one on this because I see Elastic Agent growing and using these integrations, helping a lot of customers, simplifying a lot of data processing and ETL jobs and everything
Mhm.
related to data. So yeah, that's I agree on that.
Mhm.
So AI and search, you see it as a game changer or it's just overhyped?
Uh, no, I don't see it as a. I mean, excuse me. Of course, I see it as a game changer. I mean, I think we've seen it already since the last 2 years. We've invested, in LLM integration, in observability, in security, attack discovery, building integrations, and so on. And there's so much more to come. I think, yeah. I mean, it's you'll see a continuous flood of investment in terms of hours and effort and dollars and so on and so forth, building tools and making tools uber tools, right? In this space, whether it's observability or cybersecurity in general. So yeah, definitely, it's real. Of course, there will be a um, l- we're in a period of lots of disruption. So what we need to now think about is, think about the value. Just keep an eye out on the value. If you have an eye out on the value marker and keep focusing on that, and then figuring out how do we use these tools that are provided within, an AI ecosystem, leverage them, but think about value, think about the end user, think about outcomes.
That completely makes sense. And log monitoring or SIM, which one is harder to get the right?
Well, I mean, look, I'm 50-50 on this one. Both can be difficult, not difficult, but can be, can have um, their own sort of issues. Just really depends, I mean, I think if you're coming from a different platform into Elastic, right, then there's all the, being able to, bring different data sources that need to be, transformed and brought into Elastic and so on. So, Elastic did a great job with the Elastic Common Schema, donating that, right, as to OTel and so on. So I think a lot of times projects don't even get started because of, some of these complexities. And I think solving those is a key challenge because what I see that this is a common constant that organizations are, given that we're living in this kind of like, world of, working with partners, working with MSSPs, working with GSIs and so on and so forth. And then, you know, transitioning from one technology to another after every 4 years and so on. Maybe not happy with one specific vendor in terms of their investment. So we're going to see a lot of churn going on. And I think making it easy to be able to onboard different data types and so on, like I mentioned earlier, those challenges are going to make it easier in the logging domain as well as the SIM area space.
Totally makes sense. And even like I personally feel uh, SIM is a ever evolving thing. You have threat detection, monitoring, and everything related to security in place. But there are attackers who are trying to bypass those and try to uh, just look onto your data or have some issues with the data you want to have.
Mhm.
So I feel security is something which is a bit harder than log monitoring. But yeah, that's just my ideology on it.
Yeah.
You see, last yeah, sorry.
No, I think I like your viewpoint. That's true. I was looking more from a more from a technology onboarding perspective, but yeah, I think obviously you could have multiple, firewall vendors. You could have multiple, SSO login, IDP vendors. And then yeah, it makes it a lot more harder to be able to manage those environments, ingest them into a single platform, etc., or multiple platforms. And then obviously, like, now we've seen over the last couple of years, like, the whole several years, the growth into cloud and building cloud native applications, your cloud security posture, so there's a lot of headaches that, I think organizations have, and that's why they want to work with MSSPs or MSPs, right?
Right. Uh, with Elasticsearch, everything revolves around search and all. So, what do you see as the biggest challenge in the search for as of today, like as of now?
Yeah, a biggest challenge. Okay, there should be a beep, beep, beep thing over here, but
But
no, no,
yes,
no.
it's changing a lot. It's like
Yeah,
the search becoming harder. So
yeah. I mean, so I think it's an interesting question. I don't have something off the top of my head that I can say here, but I mean, I think the with the innovation that Elastic is doing, it's there or getting ahead of the curve. Um, I mean, at the end of the day, as an organization, we have to place our bets also. We have to place our bets on wherever we invest in product capabilities and so on. So we're doing the right things there, and search was GenAI has basically reinvigorated our developer base, right? So, and we've invested a lot in the last couple of years in GenAI, so and numerous other capabilities around search as well. So I think we're going in the right direction. And the way in which Elastic works is, having partnership relationships and, collaboration and so on, whether it's with the open source community, CNCF, OTel, or whether it's, with an AI ecosystem. I think we're making all the right bets and the right sort of plays and going forward.
Right. That totally makes sense. And even if I were to compile this, everyone wants their search to be faster than what they have right now.
Mhm.
So whether you are giving search result in like just seconds, they want it in milliseconds. If you are giving in milliseconds, they want in half than a millisecond. So yeah. Uh,
But I think the broader point there is, at the end of the day, if I get something, if I'm a stock exchange, right, and if I'm looking at, 1 microsecond and data being refreshed, and I want to be able to do some analysis and so on from an observability perspective, at the end of the day, if I'm Goldman Sachs or whatever it is, right, it might make sense, right? But you have to also look at the whole entire ROI as well, and organizations need to look at that, in terms of where they invest and what tools and capabilities that they invest. And they have to also see that, am I getting the right ROI? Is it, do I really need, let's say, a Rolls-Royce engine, right, inside of I don't know, a Ford Explorer, right?
hmm,
Don't need it, right? So I think, yeah, there's definitely those things that need, and organizations, I think are seeing and making those decisions, and look and thinking about this. And there's lots of analysts and different forums out there in the world today that are sort of helping, bring that kind of point of view, which is focus on the outcomes that drive the most, that drive the best results from the investments that you're putting in.
right. And as we are talking about search, in terms of like future of search, what do you see? This vector search would be the choice of people or hybrid search?
Uh, Vector is part and parcel and integral for going forward as far as the whole Gen AI ecosystem. So I mean, and the good news is Elastic has been in Vector DB for many years, right? So
Hmm.
and the incremental investments in search related features has been amazing. So I think, yeah, I mean um this cannot go away, right? I mean, people are saying, okay, yeah, we've got the RAG workflow, right? That's great. And then, people are looking at, for example, graph-based vector DBs. So I think that is going to pick up quite a bit. So
Hmm.
there's that as an area. There's also, how RAG and graph, based, vector DBs, possibly being, involved in agentic AI solutions. So I mean, the next wave everyone's talking about, what I'm hearing is agentic AI and how we take these capabilities of bringing in the data in and making the data that everyone has, which is private data, which is the most valuable, converting that and leveraging that and to be able to drive, to solve a business problem or a specific use case. So I think yes, search is integral going forward, and we are in a great spot from that perspective.
Definitely. And if you can add like any one of the crazy AI feature in Elastic, what it would be?
I think right now I would say, I mean, there's many, but I would say, quantization. I can't really say that word properly, but I mean, but yeah, I mean that learn to rank, semantic search, and so on. Those capabilities, and within a RAG framework, I think they're going to be incredibly important going forward.
Okay, so maybe just last three questions for you. Like, do you prefer dark mode or light mode?
Light mode. I'm
Oh,
getting old.
yes. I love it.
I'm getting
Everyone
I'm
is in
getting
this
old.
weird dark mode. Light mode
So
Ah,
is the norm.
I'm getting old.
Yasmin is always about complaining why you all developers are using dark mode. Can you just change it for a minute?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I
So
think
one of my last question for you, Navaid, would be if um, you had like someone first year of college and they are asking your opinion about what to study, what type of career to go for. What would be your advice for them now with all of these years in tech and um, yeah, what will be your recommendation? I was gonna say like what will you recommend for your kids, but I know that the answer will be like I will let them choose. It's up to them. Blah blah blah. So let's go for someone who wants to go for tech,
yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, what would be your approach?
So my boys are right now, one is they're both doing cybersecurity. So
Oh, okay.
actually, one is doing ITS with the information technologies, systems with a slant on cybersecurity, and the other one just wants to focus on cybersecurity. So both doing cybersecurity, but I've told them that at the end of the day, I want you to do a BSc in that degree. Then I want you to do a master's in AI, in data science, in ML. Yes, there will be chat GPTs of all sorts that actually can, do all the coding for you, create, write algorithms and so on. But you really need to be able to still learn the technology, learn the theory and yeah, I mean, so that you can be empowered, right, when you have the opportunity to get a role. But more broadly, I feel that the university systems, and this is just my experience, I feel that, obviously, you go into a university or, and you come out with a certain degree and so on. But that, that doesn't actually, obviously there's the MBA, of course, right? But, when you go out after a master's in the workplace, that doesn't teach you, for example, what does for example, what does the renewals team do? What does the marketing team do? What is A/B marketing? Account-based marketing. What is the partner world? What types of different partners are there? How do you work with them? What are the legal mechanisms and constructs? What does a support team do? What tools do they use? How do they solve problems? So I'm actually trying to have some sessions with them, just telling them, okay, within an organization, these are the different functions, CEO all the way down to the C level and so on, and different functions exist. They all exist as a team to keep, a company afloat. And obviously, I think they learn theory at university, but
Mm,
they don't learn how within an organization, just like a team. If you look at American football or soccer or whatever, any game, people have different positions, and these different positions are doing certain things. And
absolutely.
when they get out of position, you screw up and so on and so on. So I want them to understand, have a wholesome, full view of, what functions are there in organizations, what functions do things like, for example, going when I was going through my undergrad, financial accounting, management accounting, you do all of this sort of stuff, but it never sinks in. Like when you start getting into a job. So I feel like understanding the art of business and working in companies is almost is something that I don't know. At least I feel people people need to be given an insight into that, a primer, right? I'm sure there are some obviously good universities that do that, but I feel like that is missing because then they will understand where they fit. And then once they understand where they fit, then they can say, well, I don't want to be in support, for 5 years. What's my next step? How do I
Mm,
go up? I want the youngsters to know if you land in as an SRE, what is your career path? right? If you land as a solution architect, what is your career path? If you land as a product manager, what's your career path? You know, VP of product management, right? CPO, or whatever, the you know, you know, like the chief product officer, for example. So I think I want students, right, to understand these steps and then start to think about, always have in the back of mind, what the strategy is for them in the workplace and their growth and that path. Because with AI, a lot of things, over time are gonna be replaced, by obviously lots of cool functionality. So they have to, stay ahead of the curve on that and make sure that they build enough skill sets that they can, maneuver around and change their paths. If things happen like that. For example, in a pre-sales role, in a business development role, I mean, maybe people can say that's a safe time. That's a safe sort of role right now because it depends on relationships.
Mm,
Humans have to talk to humans to be able to build a relationship.
absolutely.
Companies have to talk to companies to be able to build a relationship. And so I think that is key. And that's what I'm trying to sort of mentor and provide guidance to my boys. And this, I think, I mean, I've had numerous conversations, but I feel like, I mean, we almost need to build a curriculum on that personally. That's my opinion.
Well, I hope they realize how lucky they are to have you.
Thank you. Yeah.
I wish I had a dad that was like as much hands-on and knowing about everything, and like it's beautiful. I admire that. So
Well, thank you. And I hope that, maybe that also hits a chord, or strikes a chord with other people, who are listening, that, we need to think about, or universities and organizations that students are going to, they need to also think about, you know, um, paths and maybe I
I
feel
think
like
it's proper to the US because I can talk about France. When whatever degree you do, you have always a part of marketing, accounting, finance. They cover other subjects that like helps you to learn about yourself, the place you'll be working in, and how everything works together, or at least be aware of the other departments. Then you understand if for in any role the impact of we call that like the common core kind of.
Mhm.
So even if you are doing finance, HR, whatever specialties you want to go for, we will all have like 10 classes in common during our 2 years of master's degree to learn about all of us. We will be mixed, all disciplines all together because there is some subjects that are common to everyone. And we had accounting together, we had marketing, we had finance. So we had like in France, it's common. Here in the US, it's less because you pick you and choose your own classes. So it's a little
Mhm.
bit different, but yeah, it
Mhm.
does exist in other places. I don't know about England.
It does,
Um,
it does, but my feeling is that, by the time you've done those classes and by the time you've got a job, it's years apart. And by the time you're in the business and in the field, things have changed. Lots of things
we
have
can
evolved.
barely remember what we had for lunch yesterday. You want us to remember something we did 10 years ago? Like, come on.
Well, exactly. That's why I feel like, I mean, there needs to be, and I think some organizations do a really good job in terms of a
True.
primer, a
Internally, yeah.
primer of an organization and the technologies that they use. I think once a person has that wholesome view, 360 view, they can naturally pivot to certain sort of parts of the business and they can excel. So I think that people finding and discovering themselves, right? I think the sooner they do that, that is, I think, what I'm calling out.
I love it. Okay, well, I think. Do you have any questions, Bhavesh?
No, I must say the Yasmin is a mind reader. Uh, I was about to ask the same question, which is like, what's the one piece of advice you would give to a younger
Yeah,
self?
yeah.
But
It's called doing
definitely,
sales.
yeah. Uh, but I can ask you this: what's
Mhm.
one piece of life advice that you
Oh
could
wow,
give
I love
to
that.
a younger self? And I have asked this to Yasmin as
Uh,
well.
you know, basically, don't be shy to make a mistake, and
Absolutely.
so don't be scared of failure, right? I mean, just get up, I mean, there's this really great talk that I forget her name now. I think it's Angela or something. She was in talk, and she did a talk around grit, right? And then, and then, she was doing this study, and she was saying, like, looking at IQs and so on from Harvard and from here and from there and so on. And she did this study, and she said those students that had the most grit, meaning, the resilience, the willpower to, continue, not put their head down and give up, right? Those were the students, or those were the types of people that would become successful at what they do, hustle, and all those sort of things. So I think I would like, I would like those. I would like to remind people of that capability, because at the end of the day, it's not about, like, getting 2,000 in your SAT score. If
Mm,
that's a joke, by the way. So yeah, I mean, but I mean, it doesn't, I mean, it's not about, like, getting 100 out of 100. It's actually basically, you know, being a 360 person, right?
Mm.
And, thinking outside of the box, being creative and so on, and also not giving up. So hopefully
Okay.
that is something that
Go
will
and get
resonate.
it. Keep trying.
Yes.
Keep
Yes.
repeating. Keep going.
Exactly. Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, Navaid, thank you so much. Bhavesh, thank you also. Like, really, it was a great
Mhm.
conversation. And yeah, wishing you
Oh,
all a great day. And it was really, really amazing to spend this,
mhm.
like, I don't know, almost 1 hour with Navaid and getting to learn more about his journey, work at
Yep.
Elastic, and everything. And we will probably be planning a webinar together
Absolutely.
soon.
100%.
It's also in
Absolutely.
the pipeline. So thank you so much for this time. Thank you,
Yep. It's
everyone.
been a pleasure talking to you all. Thank you for the
Thank
rapid
you.
fire stuff.
Bye.
Thank you.